Hello everyone, this is Reboot Lamka. I thanks to all of our subscribers who subscribe our channel. We are about to have an interview with one of our friends who is from Assam. His name is Sanju. The way we met each other is like a very coincidence. I was presenting on a webinar on the topic of why do we long for meaning in life. And during my presentation, he was the one of the participate who asked a lot of questions. Then I sent my emails. Then he asked me a lot of questions, and we began to know each other's. And I was really interested about his faith because he told me that he was from an Islamic faith, but now he become an atheist. That was one of the most interesting thing for me. So I asked him, can I interview you? And he said yes. And thank you so much for your time and for accepting our request. Sanju, why don't you tell something about who you are, where you're from, what you do right now?
Hello everyone, my name is Sanju Aziz. I'm from Assam, Guwahati, and I'm currently a graduated student from Bibulwa, and currently I'm doing coaching for my civil service exams as well as some line exams. And I guess that's about it for me. And that's right now. I'd say I come from an Islamic family as well, but for me, it's been almost 6 to 7 years since I've left the faith and now a non-believer.
Okay, can you please tell me a little bit about your family background?
Uh, I come from a middle class family from Guwahati, and they're quite how do I put this? They're open-minded, but from Islamic faith, there are some ways where we may disagree upon some things regarding our faith and beliefs. But beyond that, everything we are kind of normal family. Beyond that, we, when there's all the love and sharing, everything is there. Though there's disagreements like every other family, especially uh, due to my beliefs and all. There are disagreements, but that's about it. The rest is everything. They're supportive and for me. That's good enough for me. That even though my faith clashes with my belief clashes with theirs, they are supportive. My mother and my sister are really good with that. But my father is the one who's I have a little disagreement with when it comes down to religion, I think.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing about your family background. Can you tell me the reason why make you think that I should leave Islamic faith? What is the reason behind that you leave that faith? I mean,
Uh, I would say this back 6 or 7 years back that I used to be a devout believer. I used to believe and I used to pray and everything, but not as seriously as everyone else would. But as I started to learn and everything, I kind of got into people. I conversed with people and started to believe that there's probably something that how to put this that makes me not believe in something like that. That there is beyond us. There is nothing like that should how to, that should cover our rules and regulations as humans. Uh, there was this one thing that actually made me leave the faith. The first was the whole violent and misogynistic thing that was in the faith, not just in this particular faith, but in several of the religions that I used to see in them. Even though where I'm from, the country I'm from, and the northeast region that I'm from, there are a lot of people, open-minded people with that. There are no clashes with any other faith, but still there were some points where I believe that it was kind of not too good for me to believe that. So as I started to grow up and started to learn things, I started to believe that maybe there isn't a God or higher power because uh, there were some things like like in our Islamic faith, they would say that you should be sleeping with your head this side, or you should be wearing these clothes. For women, it's like you should be wearing these clothes, or you should be doing something like that or this. There's always rules and regulations upon everything. So as I started to know all this, I started to believe that no, this if this is what God or what a religion is supposed to be, better not to believe it. If it's my life that I have chosen, I think I would like to run it over myself, and not a book or religion that should let it run for me. So by that, I started gradually going over my beliefs and faith. I started to converse with other atheists, and there was this Facebook page, Atheist Republic. We several atheists were gathered there. We had a group. We everyone discussed over their ideas and philosophy. So basically, that's how it all began.
Is there any book or someone who influenced you to become an atheist, to move away from that Islamic faith?
The, there wasn't particularly anything such influential influence for me living my faith. It was purely a choice based that I made myself. But I would say after I left my belief, and I started to be a non-believer, and as I gradually started to converse with everyone else, all the atheists in the groups and all that, I met some other people who would tell their life stories. They would tell everything that how did they, what they came through, what they were going through. There were some people who were secretly atheists because they were not able to tell that they were atheists in their country, or they would be executed, or they would be punished in some way. So at most, I'd say normal people, not any influential member, but some people just like me and you, they were much of an influence on me through the stories or what they were suffering, what they were fighting from, all that.
As you were talking about experience, especially the women violence happening in Islamic context, and also the rules and regulation that bounds you to say that I should not be bound by any rules and regulation. I have my own right to choose my path. So can you tell me some experience that you go through that you don't like the violence or how they treat women in Islamic faith?
The most common one that you will see and see is the dressing. The one of the most prominent thing that you'll see in an Islamic faith would be the dressing. There are I have met people, and there are personally there are people around me, and even in village, or people who come from a very low background. So they are like, no, as a Muslim, you shouldn't be wearing like this. You should wear like that. I even have some friends whose parents might force on them that no, you don't wear like this. You know, Western wear, they're not allowed to wear that. Most of the cases like that, and then there are beyond that. I'd say that other experiences that I have seen is how they are looked down upon. Um, there are, I had a relative of mine who wanted to perform in something, like as it was a dance performance or something. But in the where she was staying, there was this all this old person who were very devout Islamic, they were Orthodox, and they made comments on her that she's a woman and she shouldn't be performing outright like this. One of that kind of hit me. It is right. It is the 21st century. Someone people are allowed to make the choices, do what they like, and you're still here talking like this about some woman who's an adult, and you're still making things like that. So these are the common ones that you can always see.
And you said about Orthodox Islamic faith, right?
That's
Since
right.
I'm not very familiar with Islamic faith, can you elaborate what is Orthodox Islamic faith?
Orthodox, as for me, Orthodox is the people who are like really ingrained into the ideas of their religions. They would believe and converse, believe and they would push on that uh, faith so much that it's almost like suffocating for the other people. There are friends, close friends of mine who are from the same faith, and their parents are like very orthodox, and they would push on their children, and they would push on them that what they should be dressing on, what should they eat, all this. Yes. The most of the orthodox people, even they're like always, how do I put this? They'll always put on the feed. They'll tell you that if it's written in the book, if it's written in the Quran, then it is to be done. There are in our part of the country, it's not much like that. But as we move to the Middle East or something, there are people who follow that to the point. There are people who would say if uh, homosexuality homosexuality is a ban in Islam, and for that people would punish, even execute them just for that. I know when I say orthodox, it isn't what I try to say, but these for me orthodox means the people who are really ingrained that they would like to suffocate and shove their religion right into your face and say, if I believe this, you believe it. Those are the type of people that I talk when I say orthodox.
One word really attract my attention was you mentioned homosexuals, right?
Yes, sir.
So even in Christianity, there are two way of Christian views on homosexuals. One will
Yes.
accept it, the other one will not accept it. The conservative Christians will not accept the homosexuals,
Mhm.
and the liberal one will accept the
Yes,
homosexuals.
sir.
So there is also a class of division in what we believe as I'm a Christian from a Christian faith. So when it comes to Islamic faith, uh, there is no way in accepting homosexual at all.
Mhm. You know, amongst the older people, the older generation, I don't think they would ever take it something like that. They would even look down. There are people from my generation, means, younger ones who are open-minded right now. A lot of us we support homosexuality. There are people who would go over the pride, pride days and all. They support that fully, but there are people, especially the Orthodox people that I was talking about, they would never do that. Now, there are especially in the Middle East countries, and there was this, Indonesia. There were several cases that I've heard and seen where homosexuals were publicly shamed and they were beaten or they were executed directly. This is how homosexuals are actually treated when it comes down to very radical Islam, radical Islamists, the devout one. They would not like to see a man with a man or a woman with a woman. That's it.
What's your view on homosexuals according to you? Do you think that this is the right thing for you to do? I'm not saying
If
that you
I
should practice it. I'm just asking the questions.
no, uh, for me, it's like if you love someone, whatever their gender is, whatever caste they're from, it's all right. If you love them, you stick with them. That's all right. No, it's your choice. Just like you are making a choice, you're choosing your partner. And I think that's okay if you're doing that. If you are able to support them, if they're able to support you, I think that's all there is to it. I don't think there should be anyone else or a book or feed to tell you that what you should do or you should be loving.
Okay.
Instead.
So do you think that as time pass on, there will be a change in orthodoxy of the Islamic faith that they will begin to accept these homosexuals people? Do you think
I
that?
would say that a fair number of people might start taking it up because since the people are coming up and they're always changing with the mindset. Even our generation of people, they're slowly starting to get open-minded. So at some point, there are still some people that I may see that who are not still up to the point of taking up homosexuality as a what is a natural thing right now. So I don't know, but I think that in the coming future, a fair number of people would understand that.
You're from science background, right?
Yes, sir.
Since you're from science background, because many of my young peoples, or let's say right now I'm in United States, many of the new generations, they started to question about their faith based on intellectual thinking. They say that they don't have enough evidence to believe in certain faith. They don't have enough fact to believe in Christianity, maybe in Islam, maybe in Hinduism now. So is your journey from Islamic faith to atheist that type of intellectual problems, or you seek some
Um,
evidence?
at the beginning, it was something like that. There's not much evidence that there's a God that I should be believing in. There's no evidence. When we first began, when I first went to that group of atheists, there was always this that there's no evidence. There were people who give their own theories about how the world began, and since the world began a million years ago, there is no way a God could have existed, or that man made God to man made God to show that there are some supernatural things that they couldn't explain. Like someone once said that because early men couldn't understand how fire was made, they made a fire god and they worship that fire god for the fire. So it was something like that. But as I came to it, was I started to believe that no, it isn't just based on evidence. It is your own belief what you choose. Surely there's not much evidence that whether a god exists or not. There's nothing there. But there are in some ways where I chose to believe there's no god because of the things that I come to see every day. There's violence in this, yeah, violence everywhere right now. There's things that people will say, God, there's this hurricane coming and God will save us. No, and they will. I there's this. I think it was 3 or 4 years back. There was this hurricane in USA. I guess I forgot. And there's this hurricane, and I heard a lot of people went to church and just prayed that the hurricane would stop. And the hurricane went away. They washed away everything. It was total a lot of damage. At, at the end, at the end, there were people who said that because we prayed, there was not much damage done, even when the whole city was like in total chaos. These kind of things put me like, I you would take a supernatural being who probably take a supernatural. You pray to that. You say it will save you. But what started the hurricane then in the first place? If you're going to say that, then there's all the wars that are going on. People pray to that they will some way those wars will be finished, even if it's a man-made war, even if it's men that started the war. They believe that a god will come and they'll put a stop to this some way. It's been what years or so many years, and those wars haven't stopped. There are people still going hungry, still doing all those jobs that we shouldn't be doing as human. So all these things kind of took me that no, we are men, we will make mistakes, but putting our faith in a God and thinking that something good will come out of it is isn't going to help me at all if I'm not going to help myself. Surely, if you want to believe in a God, if you want to pray to Him and ta- take up take up any faith and you choose to take it on your life and you choose to go through your life, it's fine. Just don't shove it on other people that if I'm believing this God, you need to believe this God. So as evidence puts, I'd say even if there are people who'd say even the holy books are evidence of those gods being present. Islamists would say because there's a Quran, there's an Allah. Christians would say there's a Bible, so Jesus was there because Adam and Eve was there, so there was an original sin, so there was God that came to rescue you, the messenger of God, Jesus came. All these things, you're free to believe it as long as you don't shove it on people. But if you ask me that what is your evidence that that there's no God, I'd say I don't have to show you any evidence because you haven't told me that there is a God. You haven't given me a proof, a valid proof that God exists. If you're going to tell me that your book is a evidence of God being there, I'll show you a Marvel comic and I'll tell you there's Thor, there's Loki. Those are my gods. I'll tell you that those comic characters are my gods. There's your evidence. Nothing.
Okay, nice saying. I like it. Your question is mostly because the first time when you say your question about Islamic faith was, if I'm not wrong, about the violence, about women rights, and different kind of rules. Then when we come closer to it, your question about human sufferings, why there is this and that happen. So your main question is mostly about, if I'm not if I'm not wrong, or if I'm not saying the right thing, you correct me. It's mostly about pain and suffering.
Yes, it's not just about pain and suffering. It's a how do you put this? It's a force it's a pressure they put on people. The whole religion thing that puts on people. Yes, like so many people would put up the religion at such a high position, even in
Mhm.
India right now. Religion holds more power over anything else right now. Just few days back, I don't know if you've heard, but there was this someone made a post on Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, and where was this? Karnataka or Bangalore, I guess.
Yeah, I think
Bangalore
it
maybe.
was Mangalore.
Yes, Bangalore. There, someone posted on this Prophet Muhammad's post, and the whole city just went in chaos. There was riots and people. So you see where religion is put. When religion is attacked, people come out and they will defend it like it's their own some personal thing that they should be saving with their life. I understand your faith is being attacked, but don't put it on a position that it's going to harm your own moral grounds, that you are not able to believe what you should be doing, what is right. That's mainly what I say. That pressure that puts on people that if you're choosing to believe it, you defend it. No, if you're choosing to believe it, you believe it yourself. Don't force it upon people. And there, violence will exist as long as there's religion and people who take those religion at the topmost of the chain. Besides that is the only thing I'll say. The position they put religion, the power they give to religion beyond anything else is what I say the most problematic of all. It's what creates all the problems at the end.
So you are very, let me say, you sound like very close with Samaris. You know Samaris,
And,
right? Samaris
um,
write a book, Letter to the Christian Nation. I think you read it, because the ideology that come from your thought was very close with Samaris. Samaris was writing that book after 9/11, and he was questioning about when did the atheists cause war? Religious cause war more than anything. And after that, Ravi Zakaria respond and write a book again. All those kinds of things. I'm just saying things that there is always a war, intellectual war between atheists and believers. That's the thing that I just put up. And you talk about that many of your friends were also atheists, but they don't want to speak it out because there is some fear that they have. Can you mention? I'm not asking their names, but like when you say some of your friends means, what is the fear behind not to say out that they're atheists, but you're very confident. You just told me that, sir, I'm an atheist, and I was surprised because, and that's the
well,
reason why I'm interested in you.
in our northeast region, a lot of people are just open minded. They're free to choose what they believe. No one bats an eye over what you believe. In our whole country, there's something like that. In some states, it's a little bit different. But the people I've met who are really fearful of if they come out as an atheist, are people mostly from the Middle East regions or from very Islamic countries like Pakistan or Afghanistan, from Indonesia, Egypt, or yes, Egypt. All some were even atheists and homosexuals. The there were several stories that came from people. Some there was even a story from one of the admins of the atheist group. She got in touch with one of the one someone who wanted to get away from his country because there he wasn't able to come out as an atheist or even as a homosexual because he feared that if he comes out, his father would beat him or even maybe executed by his country if it comes out. Those kind of fears that there are some people even in the Middle East countries who choose to stay as a closet atheist. Let's say they won't come out, but they are secretly atheists. They'll even if they're active on social media, they will hide their identity as much as they can because once they are caught, they will be executed, punished, or something like that. There were several activists like that that have escaped from their countries and migrated to US specifically. A lot of them went back to US or some other countries just to escape from those chains of religion. They and then chose to become activists, and then a lot of them who were still in the country and got caught, they were punished and some were even executed, publicly executed. This guy that was talking about, who was in contact with the admin of the group, he later told us that the guy was in such depression because of the fear that as he continued to text, she started to realize that the guy went into severe depression. And after a few days, she got a reply that the guy has chosen to end his life. And it was the message was there that whatever he was thankful of what she was doing for him, but his father somehow caught him because his sister ratted him out, and he was beaten very badly. And after that, he chose to take his own life, and he committed suicide close after. The admin couldn't get in touch with him, but I guess after that, she never got in contact with him. What happened? And she thinks that he might have taken his life after that. So it's like this that in some those Islamic countries where religion is so ingrained in society that people who are open-minded who like to believe on something are put down, and that they have to stay in complete fear every day, and they need to hide themselves from that just to save their lives, just because they wouldn't believe that there is a God or that they wouldn't like to believe in this religion.
Since India is a very diverse country and there's a lot of religious belief, so rather than atheist, if you were to choose one religion, what will you choose and why?
Um, if I was to choose, I'd say Buddhism would be a religion I would choose. But for me, I'm not much familiar with the Buddhist religion, but as as per my knowledge, it is one of the religions that I think I believe uh, believe without any question. There's not much violence isn't answered in the religion, and I haven't. And, you are even if there's though I've not don't have much idea about how the what kind of teachings there are, but the teachings I have heard from people and even from books, it's all about being peaceful and staying happy with your life and choosing to do what you wish to, and making yourself happy by doing the right thing. And I guess that works for me. That kind of thing works for me. And there is the Hinduism religion that is all right with me, but even now in the Hinduism religion is kind of, there are people who defended Hinduism. There are no doubt there's Hinduism also advocates that atheism is a part of their religion because of what was it? There's this philosophy in the Hindu philosophy that you may choose to be an atheist even in the faith. So that's okay with me. But personally, I think I choose Buddhism as a religion if I was to.
I'm really sad you don't choose Christianity. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Sanju,
Okay.
I'm curious about how do you think about Christianity, because that's how we met. I was giving a
Okay.
lecture based on Christian worldview, and that is how we met. Can you just tell me how do you feel or how do you think about Christianity? If you say I don't want to mention it, I'm okay, but I'm just
No, no.
curious.
For me, I'd say for me, Christianity is somewhat almost, especially the ones who are very devout Christians, the ones with the same, the like the radical Islamists. There are some groups of people in the Christianity faith, they would take the Christian faith to an utmost level. There are people who uh, put Jesus in front of there and shove it down people's throat that if I believe in Jesus, you believe it too. There are people like that in every other faith, and for me, Christianity stands almost. There's this Old Testament and a New Testament, I guess, in the Christian faith.
Yes.
The old the Old Testament isn't taken up right now. It is the New Testament that people follow right now. But uh, even amongst the atheists who were Christians before, they they would they had this specific thing. There was this in the Old Testament, and maybe in some parts of the New Testament, there was about slavery, treating women as objects. I haven't read the Bible much, but there were some verses that they would quote, and I read and I saw that yes, there are verses like that, and it came to me that many of the times that in almost all of these religions, whether it's Christianity or Islamic faith, people cherry pick all those verses that are not violent. People rarely talk about those verses that say that women are objectified, that they are meant only for sexual relationship, or they're slaves in some way. So for me, it's like if I was to rank if I was to rank a religion based on how I feel, Islam would be the one I'd say I'm always against. Then I'd put Christianity.
Okay. Thank you so much
Uh,
for telling me those how you see about Christianity. Because I really want to know about how you see Christianity is, because exactly what you are saying right now is most of the encounter I face, and as a Christian we face, because religion, there there are various way that people use religions, and there is a lot of abuse in religion,
okay.
and I totally agree with what you were saying.
So
And
a
since
lot
yeah, since this is
a
not
lot of times,
yeah, what do you want? Can you just say what do you want to say?
this thing this the popes or the fathers, the priests, they would take Christian beliefs and really ingrain that there is a God, you believe it, uh, you're going to hell. There's I've heard this several times, even from his believers in Christianity. When we get in a debate, I believe there are people who, when they're out of everything, they'll say, "You either believe in a God or you will go to hell." Like, okay, that's the end of the debate.
Is there anything that you want to sum up that you want to make clarification that people will understand what you were saying more, or is there any specific that you want to emphasize?
The only thing I would like to say that my what my views are or what my opinions are on the faith that I left or even on the other faith, it's purely on me and what I choose to believe. It's on me. So if, if some people might disagree with what I have said, and some people will agree. So it's if you agree with me, it's fine with me. If you disagree, that's all right with me too. Because you choose to believe in a faith and you choose to believe in a God, and I'm completely okay with that. You and me are human beings. At the end, we'll help each other out. The rest, if you like to believe in a God, I'll like to believe in myself first, and then I'll do what I can. And that's it, I guess. Just at the end, I only like to say that religion should be, if you are taking, considering to be a religious person, be one. You do it as you like. You pray to God. You pray to your God. Pray to your God. You do your rituals, everything. But you keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. You don't force it upon anyone else. If they are telling that they don't believe in that God, they don't believe in that faith, they're atheists or they just don't want to believe in something supernatural. Let them, because in the end, it is your faith. You stick by it, and it is their belief. They will stick by it. There's no way that there's no way you should go and just shove them that this is my book. You read it, and this is the God I believe in. You can believe it too. No, don't do that. You have a belief, keep it to yourself. I'll have a belief, I'll keep it to myself. I won't force upon my atheism upon you, and you won't force your religion upon me. And that should do it for me.
Your view about religious freedoms and about, let's say, the question that you impose upon different kind of religions, that's what I also feel like we should not simply impose on someone what we believe. I agree
Yes,
on
sir.
you. And we human beings are intellectual, we are rational beings. We can reason it, we can question it, and what is good enough to believe with evidence, with facts, I think
Yes, sir.
we are allowed to believe it.
Yes, sir.
And if we have an intellectual questions, we can have a debate. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with that. But that doesn't mean that we try to win the arguments. That is not always
Yes,
the
sir.
best thing. One thing I found in our conversation is you are very moved by someone's stories. I think you are emotional, a very emotional
Mm.
person,
Thank you.
because you heard the most of the thing that you say about what I hear that story, I hear from that and that incident. So I, your someone's story really matters to you, and that means you are very emotional person who is very compassionate. You have a lot of empathy. And number two that I see in you is there's also intellectual struggle you have, and you search enough and have a confident faith enough to say that I rather believe in this atheism worldview than other religious worldview. Is that right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And
Actually, it's
okay,
not like it's not like the religion is there to be just bad, but even if there's a religion, just don't take it in a bad way. You- it's a religion. It's a group of people coming together, and that's that's a good thing. Don't take it to a violent way. If you stand on your moral grounds, you put your faith on the God you believe in. You work together, and that should be enough to create a more harmonious world, if you like. That should be what a religion should be. Religion should be. It must be. Because it is a religion is a place where is a thing where you come together as human beings. You choose to believe in something together. Don't make it as a something like a clan or something like a army to fight the others. Keep it as a group of people who choose to believe in something and you work with the others what despite what they believe. Yes, yes,
I also totally agree on what you were saying. Right, like there must be a dialogue. there must be a sitting together in talking about why we believe what we believe. We may not agree one another in what we believe, but at least we can talk about, do we have a common ground.
Yes, sir.
So that's the reason why I really want to talk to you, because you send me an email, I reply with an email, then texting you with on WhatsApp, and sometimes the question is very hard to type
Yes,
out in words, because the answer in itself become a questions again.
yes, sir.
So that's why I just say I think we need to talk. Then thank you so much for giving me such a wonderful time for us,
No
and
problem. Thank you.
and we are really happy. I'm giving. I'm saying I'm giving. I'm not saying I'm giving. I'm thanking you on behalf of our team Reboot Lamka, and thank you so much for accepting our request.
It's a pleasure, sir.